All right. Rick's checking out a watch that was sent to me. I did a review on. You guys remember the William Merck watch? They actually wrote to me a note. They changed the name of the company. They changed the price, went down, all that good stuff. So it's not.
So it'll be on an awesome leather.
No.
made by you,
I'm probably
right?
going to give that away as a gift or
Oh,
something.
there you
But this is my buddy Rick. You want to use your last name at all?
go. Yeah, that's fine. Rick Carmody.
You know, I never knew how to say that right.
Carmody.
Yeah. So Rick and I have been friends since like the early 2000s, like 2003-ish or something.
Well, yep. I think I moved here in '02. Yep. And then I got into the Queens Motorcycle Club in '04. I think. I don't know. Somewhere in time around that. Because I think we went to like San Francisco Motorcycle Club.
That was 2004.
Yeah.
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 So San Francisco Motorcycle Club had their 100th year anniversary in 2004. The guy who was president of the club at the time, Eric, his girlfriend, Kubo, used to be sergeant at arms there.
Yep.
So she knew about it.
Yep.
And then we used to, well, I never became a member. I've mentioned this before, but Rick was a member of the Cretans, which was really a drinking club with a motorcycle problem. Right?
Yep.
That's really,
Pretty much.
and now it's full of a bunch of what?
I think it was more of a. It was more of a.
It's not cool anymore.
It was a motorcycle club with a drinking problem.
Yeah. Used to be a bunch of guys. All the cool guys are not in it anymore.
Yeah. Most of the Republicans left.
The cool guys.
Yeah.
So, but we did that trip, and a bunch of guys went up there. And just so you guys understand, the Cretans was, the whole thing was based upon,
Vintage motorcycle clubs.
but specifically
cafe racer.
Japanese cafe racers.
Yeah. Just, well, you know, I think the club really was based on like building your own motorcycle out
That's
of
right.
all kinds of mismatched parts.
That was the cool part about it, was everybody was their own mechanic, and everybody helped
we built our
each
own
other out.
bikes,
Yeah.
You know, and that was, and the thing was like a smaller CC style cafe racer, like a 500cc motorcycle that or somewhere in that range, and we all just like ripped around LA like little street fighters. you
Yeah,
know?
dangerously.
Yeah.
Because every week there was a bar that you go to, and so I would meet up with these guys and drink, and then
Then
split
make it
lanes
home
is legal.
somehow,
You hope. And I mentioned it recently in a video. Like the cool thing was the uncool thing was pretty much everybody in the club had an accident at one point or another. And then, but the cool thing was everybody came out of the woodwork. You guys totally hooked me up. I mean, people take up donations and they help you. So you pay your bills and everything. It was a family. It was a really nice thing.
I think that during the early years of our club being here and moving on for a few years, it was just an epic era of motorcycle culture.
I bring it up all the time because when you guys,
before there was other clubs that were created,
Mhm.
I think the Cretans really built in. We had such an awesome culture. Back when we had Two Wheel Social Club,
Mhm.
and everybody was like there for each other. Or something, something broke down, you get on Two Wheel Social Club and like, hey, I need a part for this, and somebody out.
I forgot about the Two Wheel Social Club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just about the Cretans; it was
Right.
about the Two Wheel Social Club.
Yeah.
And when we had our clubhouses downtown, we had
That's what I was gonna say.
awesome freaking parties.
The coolest clubhouse there is, and it was in my opinion, it was like the best bar in LA.
Yeah,
Really, when you think
$2
about it.
PBRs.
And all the crazy shit.
We
that
had
went
like
on.
PBR and a shot of whiskey for $5 or something like that.
I didn't even remember. I don't know how much I paid for it, to be honest with you. Well, that was the cool thing, and I never asked for anything, but I just remember Eric saying one day, he said, there's 2 honorary Cretans, Nick Rock and Mike Z.
Yep.
And that was it. And I never took really a major advantage of that. It wasn't like I was some kind of if I had been a douchebag, I wouldn't have been that.
You guys were around there when they started, around the club.
That was fun, man. We were just talking about it because Rick's in town now. So Rick, I'm going to give them your bio a little bit, and then you can talk about anything you want.
All right.
But when I met Rick, we were riding motorcycles. We did the San Francisco motorcycle thing, and I have to tell this because it's one of my favorite things about you.
When you were a Brit Iron Rebel, remember?
That was another gay fucking club.
He was in the club.
Actually, a lot of
He
nice
had
guys.
a patch and everything.
No.
And stickers.
Yeah, we had. I was member number 5.
Yeah.
That was the Ricky Rocket thing.
Yep. I remember that.
Whatever. The British Rebels is really like an online motorcycle club with chapters everywhere, and they ride together, and they're fine.
They like to ride the style of the British motorcycle. When the Bonneville, the new model Bonneville came out,
that's what got me into it.
Yeah, it was everybody, and I think it was really cool. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of had this vintage style retro motorcycle that you could modify.
It was cool, but the the thing was like some of the guys took like the outfit too far. You know what I mean? Like they really.
But
It's like a costume to a certain degree, which is it's fine.
I mean, it's a culture though. You know, it's kind of like you have the mods. The mods,
right?
They dress a certain
well, they
way
do the
with
mod
their
rocker
scooters.
ride.
Yeah, we have the mod rockers rides. You got people that are in the Harleys. The Harley clubs. They wear their leathers and their
absolutely.
vests,
and I make fun of that too. If you go to a Harley store, you sit there and there's a bunch of middle-aged and older guys. They look like pirates, right? They got the big gold earring. They all the do rag on their head. It's a costume that you put on. I get it, but I didn't like that aspect of it.
Right.
And then what happened with the British Rebels? It got too big, and then it became like everybody's wife was involved.
Yeah, it just became an online club.
But also letting women in. That sort of thing became a thing. And I don't have anything against women. I mean, I love women.
It depends on what kind of club it is. If it's a men's club, then
that's how
different. If it's a culture club, the Cretans Motorcycle Club isn't a gang. We're a social club.
Right.
So if it's a social club for women and men, then that's fine. If you may have a problem with it because you started it with guys and didn't understand.
It evolved into something that I wouldn't have joined if it had been that when I came along.
Right.
That's all it was. I kind of got pushed out because I wasn't into
that. During that period, especially when I think the Creed's Motorcycle Club was really thriving. We had clubs like the Gridiron Rebels and the other clubs that started up. Women started riding around with us.
Well, but they also had their own
Kubo
clubs.
was riding, and we had a few other women that were riding with it. And then next thing you know, we started having women starting motorcycle clubs.
I like the girls being around.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just around guys all the time. But what I liked was we had the Hell's Bells Car Club, all girls Hot Rod Club, right?
Yeah.
So was there all girls motorcycle club that I missed? How did I miss that?
Yeah, there was. There was a couple of them. I can't think of the names right now, but.
Well, anyhow, we don't have to get all into that. That would be one main conversation, I suppose. But I wanted to say that we did this trip up there, and it was a bunch of the Cretans, and I got. That's another thing that's crazy about that time period. Remember, I always had the camera. I've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures of all these events and the ride up there and Wayne. I was really artistic, right? So I'm shooting Wayne through the wheel of his Moto Guzzi while he's working on the side of the road and everything, and that was so much fun.
Zeitgeist,
Zeitgeist, great. That's one of the best pictures of me.
Yeah.
James took it.
Ah.
The guy whose bridge I broke. Yeah. That's the other thing about me and Rick. Like we're the two guys that would we're the guys who would actually hit people.
Sometimes. Yeah.
If it had to come to it.
Not that I promote it.
No. But because anybody else, I think, pretty much would have wimped out. But we have that switch.
Well,
I wonder if we picked up on that, or something, with each other.
No, I just think that when you're growing up, I wasn't very a big guy, and I had to take care of myself, and you learn how to survive.
But at the same time, that means that's why you have that switch, because you got picked on when you were little. Same with me. Yeah. And there's only so much shit you're gonna. As a man, I'm not gonna take any shit.
Yeah, exactly. You have a survival instinct, and that sometimes comes out.
But on the way back, Rick and I peeled off. We came back on our own.
Yeah, we did.
And I'm older.
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
So I've got 10 years on Rick, and that was the thing. Other than Nick Rock and Eric, everybody else was younger, 10 years younger. So we stopped for gas, and I'm on my Bonneville at the time. It was before that one got totaled.
Yeah, I was on my CBR.
Yeah, you're doing 150 miles an hour. I'm pegged as far as I can go. 120 maybe?
Miles an hour.
No.
I think that thing was
No, stop. I was definitely doing 120. I think the Speedo went to I don't know, but I was pinned, whatever it was. Not accurate, I suppose, after 100 miles an hour. But doing that on that bike was, probably not smart. So he'd have to stop or slow down every once in a while to wait for me. We stopped, we're getting gas, and
we
we're
stop
eating
every
something.
100 miles, because
Is that what it was?
Where our gas, we could only get to 100
that
miles.
Makes sense.
So we would just stop at every 100 miles. We had to pull over, which was good because our asses were killing us.
Well, I'm Greek, so I got a tough ass. but we're but we're sitting there. I asked him. I said, Rick, what do you want to do? And he says to me, he said, I want to race cars. And I remember,
I want to be a race car driver.
I want to be a race car driver. And I said, well, you're already out the motorcycle. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I inspired you to do it, but I like to take credit for it because then you turned into this badass vintage motorcycle racer. If you're into vintage, if you go to Willow Springs or you know about it, you're going to know about Rick Carmody.
Well, I got into vintage motorcycle, which is ARMA, ARHMA, American Historic Racing Association, and got into the vintage bikes for a while. Yeah, but then I ended up moving on to super bikes.
Right. Was that because you worked at Ducati?
No, what happened was I went out to one of the races out at Willow Springs and Motocorsa Classica, and I just got the bug, saw the vintage bikes, saw one of the same motorcycle that I had was racing out there, and I remember I had crashed my CBR 10 times or something ridiculous.
High Side was his
my
nickname.
nickname's High Side, yeah.
By the way, I understand my nickname would have been T-Bone because I got T-Bone now.
Probably, I think so. That's what we were calling you.
I remember little Sarah ran up to me and she went, T-Bone! And once I was like, I'm not joining this club. It was like, no more. That would have been a cool one though.
Yeah, you'd be T-Bone. That makes sense. But anyway, I just got into the vintage thing, and then I was pretty fast, and what I was getting at was my friend told me Eric was you have to sell that CBR. You're gonna die on that motorcycle. So I sold it. I got rid of the CBR.
So Eric, much smarter than he looked.
Yeah. Well, I had he'd picked me up a few times after some pretty crazy accidents, and he was right because I was pulling wheelies down highways and doing really crazy stunt stuff.
But then it's not really the bike; it's you.
Yeah. But it was. But I really
you would ride the bike to its fullest
street.
potential.
Yeah, and so. When I got into I got into vintage motorcycle ring, and then pretty soon it was just way too slow for me, and I got this I want to do something bigger, and then I met Ed Milich, and who has duckpower.com, and he started me off with a 650 Ducati and just kept building me up to bigger bikes, and then I got into working for Beverly Hills Ducati and getting to ride Panicolis and 848s and doing racing in the national series and doing some fun stuff.
So you start off with the vintage bikes.
Yeah. But I'd always having that vintage experience. I still, years later, I'd get on a vintage bike and do an event, and do good or something.
Well, that black, that was a 350 you bought out, that Honda, that was a 68 or 69 Honda with the toaster tank?
Okay, that was my 70. It was a 7450 that I bought out to 500.
So I was completely wrong on all aspects, but it was a Honda. It was a beautiful, dude, that thing. That was a work of art.
It was. I remember that bike 10 times because
I remember.
Race it, crash it, build it, whatever,
Yeah.
I think that one of the coolest things was one of the members of my motorcycle club. His name is Casey.
Yeah.
Professor Casey.
You call him Professor?
Mongo is what we called him.
Oh, different guy. Chris Casey.
Chris Casey. No, it wasn't Chris Casey. It was it was another member.
Right, I know Chris. Although I haven't talked to him since the last political.
Was really great friends with Chris. He was actually, I think he was in the.
That's right.
The
I didn't know this guy.
He was a really, really rad dude, and we rode together in Seattle on our convergence ride, and then a week later we get back, he had fucking got killed.
Yeah. Was it a motorcycle accident?
Yeah, he was out on his motorcycle riding by himself in the crest, and something happened, and he died. And then he had this really cool XS 650 that he wanted to build into a race bike. He really we were talked about it. He's I'm gonna do all this. So when we got back, he had been riding that bike. He ended up dying after, and when he got back, I think it was a month or something after it happened. But the bike was all apart, and then his ex-wife ended up getting it, and then Chris Casey ended up finally getting a hold of it.
Okay.
And so Chris is I want to do what he always wanted to do was build into a race bike or a really badass cafe racer. And so I'm all right, well, how about I get it and I build it and then you race it. And so I got the bike, I got all the parts and found parts and got people to help me get involved and built the bike. And then Chris is I can't race it. It wasn't going to work out for him to be there. He's I want you to race it. So I changed the number to Mongo's number. I think it was 69 or something. No, it wasn't 69. I can't remember. Anyways, I raced the bike with Mongo on it, and ended up winning the race, like 2 races on it.
Nice.
And
This is still the vintage.
for one of my
bikes.
brothers. Yeah, but this was years after I had been. This was after I'd already done like the big bikes.
Okay, I'm
so
sorry.
I got to go back.
I was taking through the
Yeah,
progression,
yeah.
but I'm glad we told
I
that
was
story.
saying, what I'm saying is I've gone back to like smaller bikes
Right.
and just go out and race for fun, and that was like, it's a pretty epic story that some of the brothers in my club, we got together and like help build the bike and then go out to and win its class.
Well, one of the things I loved about that whole family, and I miss it, was getting together with these guys and everybody help each other work on their bikes and have a barbecue and everything else. But that was around the time too people started getting married.
Yeah,
People having kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we're not part of it anymore.
Well, I mean,
No,
we're all
I'm just
older
joking.
now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I was like 26 years old when I got in the club, but I don't know. It's just, I think that was like an era of my 20s and 30s, and that was epic in Los Angeles.
We had so much fun.
It was
man.
just epic, and I think that's when like Echo Park and Silver Lake and even parts of here in Hollywood there was a good culture.
There were still
people.
dive bars.
Yeah, it was a cult. The culture was so cool. It was just before it
You could
became,
afford
like,
to go
so
out.
gentrified and,
Yeah.
and
The dive bars don't exist anymore in LA. You used to be able to go out and be able to afford a beer and a drink, and then of course the girls, like the bartenders in a lot of places we would go to, if they liked you, you weren't paying for it. Do you remember what was the bar over here that had the dragon on the wall, and they had that real good looking blonde chick with the big boobs? She had that crazy lipstick. She was so
Drawing room?
attractive. The drawing room.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't.
Think she still work? No, she doesn't work there anymore.
Well, I can't. She can't.
Christina works there, and Christina says that I think she's still friends with her.
I had no idea who this woman was. Every time I walked in, she'd bat her eyes at me, and I never paid for a drink. Never. And I didn't. And I never took her out. I would have loved to take her, but she actually intimidated me a little
Yeah,
bit. You
she
know,
was-
like
I
she was
remember
very
her.
vivacious. And
Yeah.
to this day, if she ends up seeing this video, look me up. I wonder what she looks
I
like
forgot her
today,
name.
man.
Yeah, but in Austin, remember
Chris
the drawing
Susan.
room had those little cards you could stick in your drink. So if you went outside
Oh, yeah.
or you went to the bathroom, it said, "I'm out pissing."
That was the other cool thing about being part of that, was we would pull up someplace and all the bikes are out there and everybody knows it. Bigfoot Lodge,
Yeah,
parking right on the
Bigfoot.
sidewalk, right
Yeah.
down the whole thing. It was
It was
awesome,
such
man.
a great time, man. And I would never want to take. I mean, I don't think I could ever do it over again, or when I would do it any better. It was just such a good time of my life having that family here, and I think a lot of us were here in Los Angeles without family. We all, you came
That's
from
right.
Jersey, I came from Texas. Most of the people that we were hanging with didn't have any family here, like Washington, you name it. Nick Rock's like in Milwaukee.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so we all became our own family, friends. And it was such, the barbecues, everything, rides, SoCal TT rides,
Yeah.
all those things that we did was like such a good culture.
The-
And it
the-
didn't matter if you were, what race you were.
That's right.
It didn't matter what kind of job you had. We had one thing in common, that was riding motorcycles.
And having a good time.
And having a good time.
Yeah. Well, and what I really loved about it, my personal favorite thing was you could be a man among men, and if you had a problem with somebody, you sorted it, and if you had to get into a physical altercation, you did it, and then it blew over, and everything was fine. Nobody was like threatening to sue anybody or
Yeah.
anything like that. That was the best thing about it for me, because I need that. I can't be around a bunch of wishy-washy. What we're dealing with
I
today
think that,
and everything else.
like male culture is always, in a lot of the ways, or it used to be, is if I had a problem with something you said, or there was I would tell you.
Well, right, face
You know
to
what I mean?
face.
And I would say, I don't appreciate you fucking saying this, and we could either duke it out, or you'd be like, and then like you might think about it, and then 2 days later you might be like, you know what, Rick, you're right, I was wrong.
No, you would have been wrong every time.
Or we could have just been like both like, all right, well, let's move on.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you may, at least I'm not gonna hold this resentment for
But
you.
the reason why I bring it up is because I remember specifically at that time, I was having an issue everywhere I went in my life. I'd been in the film industry and I couldn't hack that anymore because I just did a video on that. Because of the people I was around all the time. And I couldn't say what I really thought or be myself, right? Because if I did, I offended people and they gave me shit for being who I was. And then that Brit Iron Rebel thing, there was a lot of stupid silliness there, and I kind of wanted to pull away from that. And don't get me wrong on that. A lot of those people are really nice people, and I still am connected with a lot of them and talk to them and whatnot. I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying they know. They turned it into a thing that I just wasn't comfortable in. You guys were the best part of it until that changed.
Yeah. I mean,
right. And that, unfortunately, that was a
you know?
political thing. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that I don't think it's ever. I don't think politics has ever been an issue, as far as in our club, or in the motorcycle culture, until COVID happened.
Well, no.
And then the COVID into the election.
Well,
I'm just serious. Saying
for
COVID
you,
and then into the election.
So for me, when I was there, we talked about this a little while ago.
I guess it was before that.
Yeah, so it was.
I'm just saying what showed people's true colors.
Obama.
You know what I mean? Okay, Obama.
So
sure.
that's what did it, because the thing about the Cretans was it's not like a 3-patch motorcycle club where it's like a bunch of guys that want to do nefarious things or anything like that, or try to be, or at least act like it. A lot of these guys, we had geologists, we had a couple geologists, teachers, things like that, and so a lot of the guys that were in that club, you just didn't know. Nobody cared. It never came up before.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
But they tended to lean a little bit more to the left. We didn't know. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
But when Obama became president, and then all the crazy stuff that was going on, that's what ended up putting and it wasn't like, we still loved each other as human beings and friends and everything, but it got to the point where I couldn't, if I spoke my mind about how I felt about something in the world, and also social media, so people are seeing what you're posting and sharing. I'd go to a party to have a good time. There was 2 guys in particular. It was Tony and Terrence.
Mm.
And like, I would just want to hang out and have a good time, and they'd try to attack me on something, and I'm a pretty smart guy, and I follow the issues. So I'd let them talk, and then I'd say, well, no, that's not how it is. And then I'd bury them with facts every time. And
yeah, I remember how that was becoming
it was terrible. Yeah. And then for me, it became so unfun. I didn't want to go to the party anymore because I couldn't be left alone, because I was unable to be the human being that I always was, because they had a problem with the way I thought. Which is the ironic thing, is that we happen to be more on the right, obviously, but we don't care if they're like that. We're not going to start an argument or bring it up to make them feel bad or look bad, but they have an issue mentally. They can't let you. It's like, if they like you, you have to think exactly the way they do, or they can't be friends with you.
And
so they're the ones that are
ruined. A lot of
ruined.
the time it's like,
it's terrible.
You know, I was raised by a very conservative father.
Yeah.
You know, and when I remember when Obama was in office, and my dad's like telling me like what's going on with insurance, what's going on with this, what's going on, and I'm like, I wasn't even involved in politics.
Right.
I'm like, the guy's fine. Like, what's wrong with Obama? You know, and my dad's like, why don't you do some research? You know? I'm like, all right.
Well, I'm glad that he put it that way.
But,
he didn't expect you to
and,
believe what he's
like,
telling you.
And then once I started to do my research, and then you try to have a political conversation with the person that leans left, then it became like, I got like the CNN like headlines, talking points straight into my face, and I couldn't even like defend myself, and it just became like, all right, I don't even want to talk to you about that kind of stuff, you know. And that for years, that's just the way it was. I just like, you be you, I'll be on me on that subject, you know. Right. And it was fine. I don't think anybody even cared.
That was when too. That was that tactic I mentioned it recently in a video. Of just, they're programmed with the talking points, because no matter what they're listening to, they're hearing the same talking points.
Whether it's true or not.
Right,
it's like written on a piece of paper, and every person on the freaking news has to follow that piece of paper. This is the narrative we're going to tell everybody in the world.
But the point is that they can rattle that off in rapid fire succession. I used that quote the other day. And bombard you with that. And then as soon as they get that out, then they say, but I don't want to talk about it. Like, they don't even want to, like, you know, so that was the problem. And that was when that all started. But hey, that's not what this video is about.
No,
but that's what made me pull away. And then now, I don't know if you want to talk about this.
No, I don't.
Not the political politics, but as far as like the drinking and other stuff.
Oh, we can talk about that.
So I didn't know that Rick had this issue. So go ahead. You know, so
I don't know. I don't want to know if I want to go deep.
You can reveal as much as you want. You don't have to do that, but basically, he figured out he had an issue and he got sober.
I will say that, like 10 years ago, I think I went through a breakup and I was kind of lost in my love life and started to like drink and party with people and kind of got lost in that whole scene. And I'll say that drinking became unmanageable in a sense, which would be like what you would say if you're in like an AA program.
What year are we talking?
I'd say like 2014. Like 10
And
years
so
ago.
so in 2010, I had an accident where I broke my wrist, and then about a year after that, I wasn't riding anymore, and I wasn't seeing this guy, and I wasn't seeing anybody. And I said to you earlier, if I had known he was going through this shit.
Well,
You know?
basically, you know, I think a lot of us in life, the past can like catch up with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I really believe that, you know, drinking, or you know, you might be drinking to numb certain feelings in your life, or maybe to feel accepted in a group, or you're just like getting lost in it.
Yeah,
And it
it's
just
that,
becomes
most people
like,
just get lost in
I
it.
think there's certain
It
people
starts
that-
off for a reason.
right,
and
you
then
know,
you get
and then
lost
you
in
just kind of like, it becomes progressively worse, you know. And that's basically what happened. I just progressively got into this drinking habit. I'm gonna drink every
It
day.
becomes a habit.
You know, I got a lime tree outside. I'm gonna grab a lime and I'm gonna make myself a vodka soda. You know?
California turns people into alcoholics because there's lime trees on
Yeah.
every corner.
But long story short, you know, like I ended up crashing my car, got a DUI, and had to face, you know, like repercussions of that. With I went to jail, and it was like a big slap or kick in the nuts in my life. And I'm like, how am I going to deal with this? You know, how am I going to lose my license for a year, lose everything, and be able to like live? You know, how am I going to afford this? You know, and it was like somebody. I'll never forget this. I went to jail the night I wrecked my car. It was the night before the last race of Moto West GP race season, and I had to get like second in one race and first in the other to win the local championship. And of course, I wake the next morning. I'm in jail and not at the track with my bike, you know, because my bike was brought out there by the dealership. And I got out of jail the next morning, and I took a taxi to the track. And I was just so upset with myself, like so mad that I like crashed my car. I didn't die. Now I gotta face what really was gonna happen, you know, my life.
Do you think part of you almost wished you would have died? So
I
you
think
had
that night I wanted
embarrassment?
to. I
Yeah.
think that night I was like so upset about something else that was going on in my love life that I was like,
Bitches, man.
I drank, and instead of like sleeping it off and leaving the next morning, I came up with this great idea. I'll just drive to the track in the middle of the fucking night, which was just such a stupid thing to do. But long story short was, I showed up to the track. I didn't care if I lived or died that day, and I literally went out there and raced the bike like that. I won like I was on an 848 beating Panigales on a bigger bikes because I didn't care, and I was like riding onto the living ragged edge of life, and I didn't care. And then this lady, I'm not gonna say her name, but she came up to me and said, you know, like, what's going on? And I'm just like, fuck life, fuck, you know, everything. And she said, Rick, why don't you give me a call tomorrow? And you know, she actually ended up giving me a ride home with some other people because I didn't have a way home because I crashed my car on the way there. And she invited me to an AA meeting.
Ah.
And then I started my journey with Alcoholics Anonymous. I did the 12 steps and got my, you know, I had to like do an inventory on my life. I had to make amends with people. I had to.
And was that pretty easy for you? Because it didn't seem like you had too much. You didn't make amends
You'd be
with me.
surprised, like how much resentment you may be holding inside of your life.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever, I really highly recommend a 12-step like faith program of doing an inventory on your life and making amends with people, because you would be so surprised. Like, you know, for instance, I had cheated on a golf game with one of my colleagues, I forgot to put a couple of marks on my beer thing, you know, on my beer can or my beer styrofoam cup, and he actually called me out on it.
Were you drinking and doing drugs?
We were just
at the
drinking.
time?
No, this is like back in the. We were like drinking beers and playing golf together, and I was so upset that I had like shanked it a few times, and he's like kicking my ass. I was trying to catch up, and, you know, I don't know what I was thinking, you know, and then
That's what you get for playing golf.
he called me out on it, but for years, I always thought this, you know, Sam never trusts me. Never trusts me.
I know what you
After
mean.
that, I just felt like, you know, and we worked together, and I always felt like that guy doesn't trust me because
Right.
I fucking tried to cheat on a
Right.
golf game, you know, and then years later,
Honesty is the best policy.
yeah, years later, I went back and made amends with him over it, and I told him like, man, I can't ever think. Every time I think about you, I think about the day that I tried to cheat on a golf game with you, and I won't let it go, you know, and I need you to know that I did. I tried to cheat on our game.
May I interject something?
Yeah.
So when I was young, I lied. I lied to my dad about something.
But the point of this is, before you tell your story,
Okay.
is that if you ever were to do a 12-step program,
Right.
is that we carry these resentments
Sure.
with us, and we
And
can't.
guilt.
We cannot move forward in life until you
Yes.
like sit down and do an inventory on your life,
I got it.
make amends with people, and I think that was a part of my life that I wouldn't be the person I am today
Well,
if
without
I
that,
hadn't
of
done
course.
that. And to go on to further with the story is that I created a faith with a higher power, which, you know, me is God,
Mhm.
and I was able to start having a relationship with something that was more than myself.
Sure.
And I learned how to accept life,
We're going to get to this too,
you know.
where it took you.
Okay, yeah.
But I just wanted to say, I'm fortunate that guilt of that thing made me feel so bad that I never lied again.
Good.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, you know, so like, and that thing that they make you go through, that process, I'm fortunate. I never had that big of an issue with alcohol. It's not about me. It's not a competition. I'm just saying. But I've seen a lot of people go through what you went through, and way worse, by the way.
Yeah.
Like people who were drunks for years, and you know, did hard and ended up killing some people, killed people in car accidents, things like that. Horrible things happen.
Killed themselves.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I've got friends that died.
Yeah. But the people that lived, you know, they go through the program and do everything. I'm just fortunate that I didn't have that addictive personality, but I had that, and that was enough for me. And I'm not lying about being honest all the time. You just always, if you're always honest, you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it really is to have humility in life, and to be humble and be able to face the truth.
And I believe in God too.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
an open communication. And actually, 2010, when I had that accident where I broke my wrist, 2 nights before, because the truth is that God does try to communicate with you. You just might not be hearing it right or not recognizing the signs or something. And I'm not a religious person, by the way. I'm not, you know, I'm not a church person or anything like that. I don't need that.
But you can have a higher power.
Absolutely.
Because
God
the
is,
point I think of a higher power is to say that I have no control over this world.
God,
Something
listen
bigger
to
and
me.
better than something
That's
bigger
right.
than me has
Listen to me,
control.
listen. God has nothing to do with religion. And God is not religious. Has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So my point I wanted to make is like I was having a very rough time financially and everything else. And I lost my workshop down here, and I'm laying here and I'm praying. I'm looking at the ceiling like I need something. I never asked for anything. I talk to you all the time. When I talk to you, I'm always asking you to help my mom and my sisters and everybody else. I don't ask for anything because I'm a self-sufficient dude and I feel like I can take care of it. That was always my attitude, even with him.
Mhm.
And I looked up and I said, I need help for once. I really need it. I need a miracle. Something has to happen. But I need get a good job has to come through or win the fucking lottery or whatever. And then next night, I get in a motorcycle wreck where I break both my wrists and everything else. Cadaver bone, plate, the whole thing that
That's
happened. And it was the best thing that could have happened because it forced me to do something that I was avoiding, which was the bankruptcy, because I had the credit card debt and everything.
Mhm.
We were talking about that earlier. And it actually turned out to be the best thing ever. I never got credit cards again. Everything's fine. Everything healed. But I recognized that. And I look back on other things. And then since then, other things have happened where I do an open communication and I see the results of it. So I'm saying believe in that. Now, you said you prayed
Oh, we were talking about earlier is like,
Yeah.
so here I am going through this whole like,
Because we got to get to the
I
Halloween.
lost everything in my life. I didn't lose everything, but I had felt like I lost everything. And,
You felt like a loser.
yeah, and
You were a loser, man.
I had to actually go serve some time for what I did. I mean, I didn't hurt anybody,
Right.
but getting a DUI and.
But you have to explain because people are gonna go. You don't get prison for that. It's
Oh,
because
so
you had one
I
before.
had got a DUI
You can keep it
literally 9 years and 350 days prior to this happening.
10 days before
10
the
days
10-year
before
anniversary.
the 10-year anniversary. So I got like, they hit me with a second offense.
Dude, that was the Lord right there. It's
Which
like,
is-
I got you the first time.
Yeah.
You should have learned your lesson. You're not learning your lesson.
Yeah.
So here you go.
So so then I had to like, face, this happened up in like, up north of here, so in Lancaster area, so they don't play around up there.
Mhm.
Anyways, what I was getting at is I started this whole relationship with a higher power. I'm doing this whole like, and I thought to myself like, what is it you want to do with your life? Like I don't want to be working in the movie industry anymore. I don't want to work in the motorcycle industry. Like, what is it that you want to do with your life? And I had started sailing with my friends on the weekend,
Ah.
and I just was
Wait,
like,
who was that?
my friend Chris Gertis.
Okay.
He would rent like a 40-foot Jeanneau or Beneteau.
Because we had a few other friends who had boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd go out sailing with him, and I was just like, man, I love this. Like, this is where I want to be, on the water. And because I felt like, I had all these problems in life, and when I got on the water, I could leave all those problems on land,
And it was safer.
And
The thing about a bike, I'm sorry, but everybody says that about a motorcycle. When you're on a bike, you have to focus so much on what you're doing, all your other troubles go out the window. But it's inherently dangerous. So on a boat, as long as you know how to swim, you're pretty good.
Well, yeah, the boat is safe. But, and I just came, it kind of clicked in me, I don't know if God showed me the way or what, but I rode my motorcycle down to the marina dirty with no license, and
Breaking the law.
I literally looked at this marina, and I sat at the spot, and I meditated and prayed that, I want to become a boat captain someday. I want to get a job here. I'm looking at all these sailboats. I'm looking at this lifestyle here, and I'm like, I want to know everything there is about boats. I want to get myself into this industry, and I want to get my captain's license, and I want to eventually become a captain and get paid to travel the world. That was like exactly what I told God, and I had a lot of meditation and thoughts, and I just said, God, I'm leaving this up to you. Show me the way. And literally, like, I got a job working in that exact same spot. The exact same spot. Like, literally could walk to the place that I got a job. I went down there and started applying, and then I got a phone call from the place literally 100 feet away from where I had prayed what I wanted in my life. And that's where my journey in the marine industry started.
Now, sometime after that, you reached out to me or something.
Yeah, because I got my first tender, my little dinghy. I needed something to work on the water with.
And so I had no idea he was on this path.
Yeah.
And just real quick, I grew up on a beach on the island. It was a barrier island. I grew up around boats and everything. So when he told me he was doing this, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I missed that.
He introduced me to marine plywood because
That's
I
right.
didn't know about it. I was
That's
like, I need a piece of plywood cut. I need to
I
like make
forgot
a
all about
chair.
that.
And
So
you're
what
like,
was it that I did?
Well, see, I needed like a floor pan in my tender, my little dinghy, because I was a mechanic.
It was a Zodiac, right?
Yeah, it was like a little West Marine 10-foot inflatable, but I was a mechanic.
Right.
And that's how I started in the industry, is I was like a boat mechanic, and I would just go and I worked for
Which, by the way, I'm sorry, but I have to interject, because you were such a good mechanic on motorcycles and everything else, and you were also a car mechanic.
Yeah,
right?
I started out as a machinist, and then I became an engine builder, and then I was like,
So you have to understand the background. The man has
I've been
the
an engine
aptitude
builder, I've been a machinist.
Which
I've
we have to talk about the
fabricated
van
welder
on something in a
welders.
minute, but keep going.
Yeah, but and that's how I got my start in the marine industry, is because I had a mechanical aptitude, and I didn't know shit from port to starboard. I didn't know how boat was wired and how it was grounded, but that's how I got into it. But I reached out to you because somebody gave me this like inflatable boat, and I needed to have a compartment so I could put my
Toolbox.
stuff in, my tools, and So he had made me a nice floor pan and another divider out of marine grade plywood.
That's right.
And yeah, so that's
and then you took me for a ride in it around the marina. I was like, dude, anytime you want help with anything, I'm down. Which leads us to.
So 4 years later of working in the marine industry, I had gone through because I was working for a sailboat charter company at sailing school. I had put myself through all the sailing courses,
which is a big deal. And this man is a fucking sailor.
Well, yeah, and I just, to become a captain, you had to like get sea time. So I would go out with regattas every twice a week, go sailing. I would go anytime I could, like go out with the sailing courses, or anybody that had a boat. I would just do whatever I could to get days at sea. So then, 4.5 years later, I took one of the instructors was a sailing instructor, was also doing a captain course. And she, so I did her captain course. I did the 100-ton course, and got enough days at sea to get a 6-pack and then I got enough days at sea to get a 50-ton license. So I got started out with a 50-ton license, and then still working at that company, and then I started doing chartering. I started doing chartering 30-foot sailboats and less than 40.
Is that all parties? Was fishing involved? People just
all
want to go to Catalina?
All the stuff I was doing, it was just local coastal cruises around marina, and I was working for a company that also promoted that type of stuff. They were doing sailing schools, and they had bareboat chartering, and I'd get to do some charters with that too. And then moving on, I ended up getting my captain's license. So before I did that, so I get my captain's license, right? And I hadn't got a job yet. So I don't know how this guy gives me a call and says, hey, I got this 18-foot sailboat that I had shipped to Ventura.
From New Jersey, by the way.
From New Jersey. He had this 18-foot, it's a boat with a mast and just has one sail. It's it's not
it's like one step up from a sunfish.
Yeah. It just has, it has one sail on it, just one big sail, and it has a drop down keel
right.
that you had to drop down.
So there's a hole in the middle of the boat.
Yeah. And for some reason, but anyways, he needed it in Marina del Rey, which is I don't know how many miles, 40 something miles. No, it might have been 80. It's 83 miles away. It's pretty far.
Close to 100 miles. I remember that.
So it's pretty far away, and it only does maybe 6 knots on a good day, So
well, it had that little 4 horsepower.
Anyway, we didn't even know what the boat looked like. Literally, the guy's like, I got this boat in Ventura. I just had the mast put on it, and I need it brought to Marina del Rey.
Oh,
so,
he just had the mast put on?
Yeah, he had it shipped there.
Holy shit.
So, and I had never seen it before.
So it was like a basket case sailboat.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was just a local sailboat. It was something you went out for 4 hours and came back on.
I'm tying it to the motorcycle.
Yeah. So I happen to be chatting with you, and I'm like, hey man, I'm going up to Ventura to sail this boat down. You want to come with me?
Sure.
And he's like, yeah man, I want to get on the water. So we I think we Ubered up there.
Yep.
We Ubered up there, and we get to the boat.
Well, right.
And the name of the boat is Initiation. I swear to God, my first captain job, Initiation. And while we're walking over the boat, there's a guy in this office, and he's like, hey, you guys got vessel assist? And I'm like, what's that?
That's right.
I'm like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, well, he's like, where are you guys going? I'm like, we're taking this little boat to Marina del Rey. He's like, you might want to get vessel assist. So we called the boat owner. We ended up buying vessel assist, which is it's like AAA on the water. So if you break down, you want to have vessel assist so they can come get you.
Thank God we had.
So we drove around that night. We tested the boat out. We drove
right in the marina,
around,
right?
And,
test the motor.
Yep, test the motor. It's this little 5
But
horsepower.
by the way,
Honda.
all this I think is still on my Instagram, so I'll find those links and I'll put them in the description.
So yeah, we cruised around on it. So that night we got a good night's rest. We had our whole plan. We're gonna make it, check the weather on my phone app, and it says a little bad in the morning, but that's pretty normal. And then at noon, the wind changes direction. So we get up like before light. We get up there at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're
Before
getting the boat
that?
ready. Was
Yeah.
it that early?
Yeah, it was really early.
Yeah.
Because
we left at dark.
yes, the sun was just starting to come up as we were in the marina trying to get out of the marina. Because
Yeah.
that's all on film.
Yeah, because right when we turned left and started heading south, I mean, we watched a beautiful sunset.
Yeah, sunrise.
Sunrise. Sunrise. It was gorgeous. Flat water.
Beautiful.
Sails up. We're
Because
cruising
you're in a
along.
marina.
We're just like, we thought it
We're
was
having a good
epic.
time.
It
He's got
epic.
Johnny Cash playing.
Yeah, it was epic. It was gorgeous.
Another bonding, like man,
And like we're doing this, you know, and then like 2 hours later, we had like white caps.
Oh wait, allow me.
Oh my
So
God.
as we get out of the marina, but we're above Point Magoo, which is a naval station there, and so as soon as we get out into the water, all of a sudden, it was just like another world happened. Well, slowly.
It
It started coming. We started getting the white caps. The water starts cresting over. And we're like, whoa! And then it starts going. And by the way, I'm in front of them.
So yeah,
So
he's what's known was a dodger on a boat. You usually have like a screen in front of you,
That was
and
my
we're sitting
job.
like this, and I'm like this.
Yeah.
Waves are coming over, and I'm
I'm
just
just
like,
taking it,
and he's
man.
just getting
I'm
pounded
just
by
getting
water,
pounded.
just flying over.
And it
Oh
just
my
gets
God.
now. The sky gets dark gray, and the wind is crazy, and it's high seas. And I've been in some bad situations. I've never been in this kind of situation. This dude,
I'm single-handed with a rudder and a freaking
the boat
main
is
sheet.
the rail of the boat is in the water. The mast is touching in the water. The whole boat is tilting like this. He's got his feet on the rail like this, barefoot. I'm holding on for it. He's using his teeth and everything else to run the lines. And that was hours of this. At first, it was Captain Dan. Woohoo! Yeah, this fuck yeah, fuck you, this is awesome, we'll do it, no problem. But hours into it, it was like, when is this gonna end?
I know, man.
It
got
was the
crazy.
craziest thing.
And we were on like this little 18-foot boat. This ain't like a 40, like that should, an 18-foot boat should not be
Oh, by
out
the way,
there in
there's
that kind
no other boats in the water.
of-
There's no, and you can see pretty fucking far in the ocean. There's
Yeah.
not another boat on the water. And at one point, a helicopter came off the base and circled around us, like looking at us to make sure
Check
we were
we
okay.
were okay.
But that was pretty much as we were coming out of it.
Yeah.
And then
So-
we come around.
We make it around like Point Magoo.
That's
and what's
right.
funny is like, you know, here it was about noon that time, or it was about 11 o'clock or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And we had like, you know, from like
So
7
you
in
know,
the morning
Six,
to there
so it was a solid about 5 to 6 hours.
of just fucking wind, it was
Pounded.
like 20 knots of wind.
Should have been dead.
White caps. I mean, it was gnarly, and like this
We're
boat,
drenched, by the way, soaked to the
main
bone.
sheet's on a cam cleat at the bottom. I'm holding it, and as soon as like we get so far over, I had to like kick it and let the main out, and then
That's
pull
right.
it back in so we wouldn't like
Tip
go all
over.
the way over.
That's right.
You know, and but we made it, man. We for like 4 or 5 hours of that, 5 hours of like that. So then we get to like Malibu area, wherever it was.
Well, as soon as we turned Point Magoo,
We started
the
going,
sky's clear
yeah.
and there's no wind whatsoever.
Yeah.
We're in a fucking
On
sailboat.
the west coast, at noon, the wind changes from a land breeze to a sea breeze. And so we get stuck there, and we have like no wind all of a sudden. We're like, what the fuck?
Break out the engine.
So we pull out the engine. Sails are still up. We're like, let's eat something, you know. We're like sitting there, and we started cruising along. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
We're like 5 knots or something, and we're cruising along with the motor. Well, the next thing, the motor just starts like an hour into it.
Crap, not even.
The water, like white smoke starts coming out of it, and it stops running, and there's no wind, and like we're starting to like go close to shore because the wind and the boat is starting to. I mean, it wasn't even really much wind.
There was
but
no
the
wind.
current was pushing us
Current.
towards.
I don't
the
remember us
land.
getting close to the land, but I know that there was no wind and we were dead in the water.
Yeah, and we were dead in the water.
And at this point now, we finally get to about Malibu because that's when I was posting stuff on
engine's there.
Instagram, and I had a buddy who lives there. He's got a compound up there, and he actually saw us on the water. That's the crazy part because I talked to him later, and he told me I saw you. He didn't know it was me. It was a long fucking story, but the point is we're the only boat in the water. Keep going. This is where the
So-
insurance comes in.
So
handy.
yeah, so then I'm like, the motor's out. I kept messing with it, couldn't get it to like. It would run for a little bit, then it would conk out again, and like, dude, we have like still a long way to go. We still had a good 40 miles to go, you know, or 35 at least, because like from Malibu, from Paradise Cove is about 35 miles, and we hadn't even made it to there yet. And so I'm like, dude, we're not gonna make it, because we didn't even have lights. I had a navigation light was from my tender that you put batteries in. And we didn't even have lights on this thing. We didn't have shit. All we had was a VHF and my phone. That's all. We didn't have.
We didn't have his phone very long either.
Oh, because
you dropped your phone in the ocean.
Like sticking with the sails or something. Like my phone literally went. And then, that's why when I'm on a boat, my phone is now tethered. This is very important in my life because I will never lose.
Well, you lost a couple phones on
there. That's why ever since then, I mean, now I
But
tether
we
my
called
phone.
that woman who was a friend.
So we called Vessel Assist to Cheryl, who was my she was my towing instructor. She had helped me get my towing endorsement. Cheryl was a Vessel Assist, and I had her phone number, and I gave it because I don't even think we're literally like AAA. You gotta wait a few days, but she was able to like get our location. We were telling her where we're at. I was able to look on my phone and tell like
this is before he lost his phone.
Before I lost my phone, I was able to tell her where my coordinates were, and so I called her. And so we got it all figured out.
Not
She's
that it would
on
matter.
her way.
Not that it would matter. We were the only boat in the water.
She was on her way to get us, and so while we're sitting there, we were like literally taking all our clothes off because we were soaking wet. We're drying our clothes. We're not moving anywhere. It's
a Chinese laundry.
We weren't going anywhere. We're just sitting out in the ocean. And then, somehow like my hands just went like that, and the fucking phone went into like 60 feet of water.
Unbelievable, man.
And so thank God we had a VHF because I was able to like call her on VHF. Thank God. So she came out there, towed us in.
It took all day.
We got in at like just at sunset.
That's right.
Or just before sunset.
By the way, this all happened on Halloween.
And it was my very first paying captain job.
Yeah. The initiation. 18-foot piece of shit sailboat. I mean, it made it.
Yeah.
I mean, that boat.
Well, it wasn't in bad shape. It was just not designed to go.
Not for that.
83 miles.
No. We had no business being out there. And the thing is like, I don't think we can really describe how crazy it was, but it was 4 to 5 hours easy of getting the crap kicked out of you in a situation. But we weren't scared. That was the cool thing. We weren't afraid of it.
No.
We were just taking it on like, But it was.
We were going pretty fast too. We were like.
That sail was full of air.
And at that time, I had been doing like regattas and I like sail racing, and I was kind of used to that, like heeling over and getting into it really good. So, you know, I mean, now if I was out there on that boat and going through that, I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? At the time, I didn't even think. I was like just so determined to like, we're going to make it.
Also, if one person would have been, I'm not saying, but you could have been with somebody out there who wouldn't have handled it so well.
Yeah, like get seasick.
Seasick, throwing up, or just scared and crying and freaking out or something, you know?
What if I had brought a girl, you know? That was...
Well, she would have made it back.
Well, she would have been like, close that Coast Guard!
But as a matter of fact, I still...
that's not experienced with the water, man. Like a female that had never been on the water or something like that.
Right. I still have the T-shirt I bought when we got something to eat and a beer at that. What was that? Starts with a B?
Like Applebee's or something?
No. It's in the marina. There's a restaurant in the marina.
Tony P's.
Tony P's?
Tony P's.
That's it.
Yeah. It was Tony P's.
So because I needed a T-shirt. It was crazy. I still have it, man. Yeah. So, what a great...
So I got my first... he was part of my... becoming a captain.
Yeah.
So now...
We've had a few good bonding experiences.
7 years later.
So now, this guy now, he's a... Well, you tell him.
I have a 210 captain license. I'm a private yacht captain for a private owner, and
where?
In Florida. So I just about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, January will be 2 years. I sold everything here in California, and moved to Florida.
Making money.
Yeah.
Sailing around the Bahamas, the Bermuda Triangle.
No, I've never been to Bermuda Triangle. But I mean, in the
that's why he's still
the
here.
Corner of Bermuda, I guess the Bermuda Triangle is part of the Bahamas. But so I did some chartering and other private boat owner captaining, and then I found an awesome family. They're Christians. They were my age, and they're.
Oh, is your boss your age?
Yeah.
Oh, no
He's
shit.
actually younger than me. A couple years younger
That's
than me.
wild.
Yeah. In fact, they're from Houston, where I went to high school, and so we went to the same area of high schools. Not the same high school. We have Facebook friends there.
How did you meet this guy?
Through when you're a captain, you're trying to find a job. You put your resume out on some of the agencies, like Yacht Crew, Meridian, and then there's certain groups on Facebook. And I actually think that I got this job through Facebook.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think it was either Day Work 123 or Captains on Call, one of those two. And the owner or a captain will put out job offers, and you just respond to it and they call it your CV or your resume, and there was something, I guess, about my resume that he liked. And what's really funny is I had left a job up in Pensacola that wasn't working out, and for my job interview I drove up to Stewart, and then he had told me he was having a problem with the boat prior to me getting up there, and then he's like, their water heater wasn't working, and they had been staying on the boat for a week without warm water. He's like, hey Rick, we have to leave because we got somewhere we gotta go, but is there any chance you could look at the water heater? And I was like, yeah, no problem, and I literally fixed it, and they said they took a warm shower that night. They're like, this is our captain.
That's how I got this apartment.
Right?
I was fixing a guy's car out front. He was living with the girl who was in my acting class, who I had a huge crush on and still do. We're still friends. And the woman who's the manager here saw me fix. She goes, can you fix stuff? Oh, yeah. She goes, you looking for an apartment? I said, yeah, I could use a new place. She goes, why don't you come up here? And the toilet was running. Oh. So I fixed the toilet real quick, and I got the gig as the handy guy here.
Oh, no.
And that's
kidding.
how I got in this apartment.
That's how you started out here being the handy. They still call you to fix
in this
stuff?
apartment. No. That didn't last very long.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But that's how I got into this apartment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's how you get places. It's
So
about word of mouth
or just a circumstance.
Being a good person.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm very. Yeah, I will say what you have going for you that I don't do is that you wish for a big thing. You talk to God about a big thing, and I don't ever ask for anything. All I ever asked for was to
I didn't ask to be a captain.
No,
I just said, show me the way.
But and he did.
You know what I mean?
And with me, I'm always just I just want to have not a boring life. I wanted to keep it interesting. And the problem with that was, it was so exciting all the time that I had to turn myself into a shut-in, because every time I leave the house, something crazy happens. There's just too much crazy shit happening all the time. I guess we need to have another chat here.
Well, I would also say that God I don't know if God really showed me the way, but I would also say that he, gave me the strength and the passion to follow my dreams, and what I've gone through in my life gave me the one key thing I had to learn in life was acceptance, and accepting the way life is and the way things work in God's world is I have really no control over the world.
That's right.
I have no control over the weather. I have no control over what happens to me tomorrow.
Of course.
And having that acceptance in life has been the biggest
Do you think you had a problem with that? Did you think you had a problem with control?
No, I just think when you're in your 20s, maybe your
we're all the
30s,
same,
you have this mentality that I've got to be a millionaire, and I've got to get to this, and I've got to become this, and I have to own this, and I have to materialistic stuff, and I have to be this amazing person, or I have to.
So you were all fucked up back then.
Well, I think we all just had these really big time goals, And, I wanted to be a millionaire before I was 30.
Oh, did you?
I
think never thought that.
I don't.
Good for you.
I think I wanted to be successful.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like a car designer or a mechanical engineer.
My thing, I just wanted to. This is so fucked up then. This is so fucked up. Well, because of the way my dad grew up with war-torn Europe and being a child soldier and everything.
He wanted to be a porn star, and it didn't work out. So
yeah, my dick was so small. No, it was. I wanted to protect the people that can't protect themselves. So I wanted to go in the Marines and then become a mercenary. Really?
Oh, okay.
That's what I remember. You gave me the Blackwater book.
Yeah.
And that's really was what I thought when I was young. But I had these physical issues that kept me from doing it. And then I just kind of languished for a long time where I was good at stuff and I had a fun life. And everything I tried to do I was pretty good at. But I didn't have anything in my mind knowing what I would do. So I kind of just let life happen. So his idea, his plan, much better. Have a connection with God, pray on it, meditate on it, think about what you really want in life, and then go for it. I was lazy about it. I never asked for anything big, You know, other
I don't
than
think
trying
you
to
have
stay
to ask.
healthy.
I think you just
Well, you
have
know
to
what I'm
have the
saying. Maybe I'm
passion.
wording it the wrong
You
way.
just
but
have to have the
understand.
passion to do anything you
Yeah.
want in your life. You just have to. Have
The key for
passion.
me was just be very good at whatever it is you want to try to do, and try to be the best at that. And you know what I can do.
Well, I think
so.
Mike's a passionate person about he's an artist. He's an artist with wood, and he's an artist with
Which
he's
is why I
passionate.
should have done the porn. When you think about it, like.
Yeah.
By the way, that was bullshit. I never wanted to be a porn.
I was just joking. We haven't watched that.
I have been asked, before, but we're not doing that yet.
I'm not denying anything over here. No.
Dude, that's perfect. I had a really good time. I love this man. He's a good friend of mine. Super cool, fucking awesome
I'm
human
here till
being.
Sunday.
He's here till Sunday, ladies. And but he just popped in. I didn't even know he was in town. I'm on social media, but I'm not looking at everybody's stuff. And I miss him. And who knows, dude? Oh, by the way, April of this year coming up. It's already April this year is gone. Friends of mine are getting together in the Keys. I think they're getting like a condo or something.
Oh,
Because
cool.
it'll be my 40th high school anniversary.
Really?
So
Nice.
I'm gonna do my best to drive across the country and make that.
Cool.
So while I'm there,
If I'm not in the Bahamas or somewhere else in April, I'll come see you.
yeah, I'd like to meet your boss. He sounds like a cool dude, man.
They're good. They're good Texans. Good people.
It would be cool to check out the boat,
Oh, yeah.
and like get a tour, maybe get out there or something. That would be a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah, we have a 33-foot center console. I'll show you around. We're in the Stewart area, Palm City. It's right where the Port St. Lucie goes through the state.
I got
of
friends
Florida.
right in Port St.
Yeah.
Lucie.
Yeah.
I got friends all over Florida. Jersey. Everybody from Jersey ends up in Florida. at some
Yeah.
point.
You can get Jody up there too.
Yeah. I just talked to Jody's a friend of mine from back home, and when he said he was going, I was like, I know a guy. He's
Yeah.
the guy you got to hook up with.
Jody's a good guy. Really, really good
Fun,
guy.
good human being.
Yeah.
We have a similar background from back home.
Yeah.
We didn't even
We
know.
kind of look like each other. I mean,
I'm better looking.
they're both this like stocky little gray-haired dudes from Jersey.
We were,
We fixed shit.
we were, yeah, and we both, mom. So all that stuff. We both did a lot of the same shit. It is funny. We were walking on the boardwalk one day, and we know all the cops back home. And we're both wearing flip-flops, baggy cut-off shorts, T-shirts, and we got the same hair. and the cops, there was a bunch of cops there, and they start fucking with us. What you got? What, nice uniform. I looked at it. I said, look at the uniforms you motherfuckers are wearing. Can't make fun of it. You're all wearing the same uniform too, asshole. And we all laughed about it. We hung out and did bullshit for a while. It was awesome. Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So good to see you. We're going to finish this conversation. Thanks for being here. Remember to be kind to one another. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. There's going to be more of this coming. Obviously, it will get more pro eventually. So,
Well, I hope this guy can inspire you to do good things with your life.
be a good person. Be honest. Always tell the truth. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Say bye, Rick.
Adios.